I missed out on not only opportunities, but I underpriced myself. I didn't speak up and advocate for myself. It goes on and on. It's like a tax that you pay if you aren't willing to either believe in yourself or just breathe it out.
Welcome to PowHERhouse Founders and Leaders, the show for women who are building wealth, scaling businesses, and leading with unapologetic power. I'm your host, Nicholle Overcamp, financial advisor, business coach, and founder of Wilcox Financial Group and PowHERhouse Money Coaching. And while what we share is meant to guide and inspire, remember to always consult your own financial professional before making any big moves. Let's get into today's conversation.
If you didn't know this already, video is trending. It is the number one thing that is growing, that people are watching. So if you also host a podcast, video is really important instead of just doing audio all the time. People will find you quicker, and you can use this video to repurpose the content on a lot of different social media platforms. I resisted this for a really long time because audio is easy. I always record these podcasts like in pockets of time. And the reality is when I record these, more often than not, I 1,000,000% look like a gym teacher, zero makeup. My hair is never done, like a financial advisor. However, I'm sharing this with you to encourage you to just do the damn thing, because I promise you, people will care more about valuable content instead of just what you look like. Now, if I was maybe put together, looked pretty cute, would that be a perk? Sure, but it is what it is. Here's life. So that is not at all what this podcast is about today, but I wanted to share that with you because I know many of you are listening and holding back on your potential, recording, sharing your gifts, sharing valuable information, because you feel like it's never the perfect time. You don't have time, or you don't have the energy to, like, quote unquote, do your face, put makeup on, look perfect. Knock that shit off. Just do the thing. People want to hear what you have to say. So that's that. What I really wanted to chat with you guys about today, though, is imposter syndrome. It is that pesky little thing that comes up time and time again, and we all deal with it. You know, I have not met one woman, regardless of how badass she is or what she has accomplished, that, number one, hasn't dealt with imposter syndrome in the past and still deals with it. It's wild. Women that I am intimidated by, I admire, I aspire to be like, they deal with it too. And I know this because we are all more alike than we are different. But when I engage in conversations with them, it always comes up. And it's like that one thing that I'm like, oh my gosh, me too, relatable, right? And usually because we're all surrounded by, or hopefully surrounded by people like you, similar mindset, even if you're at different spaces, high achieving women who do have a growth mindset are going to feel that imposter syndrome often, and it's never going away because we're constantly leveling up and putting ourselves in positions that force us to grow and get uncomfortable, which is a good thing. It's amazing. So imposter syndrome isn't bad. It's good. It's a signal for growth. Right? Some people hate the term imposter syndrome, whatever, but look, like, I'm not going to put lipstick on this thing. I'm calling it for what it is. It's imposter syndrome. It sucks, and it can hold you back. I know personally it has held me back in the past a bajillion times. Ever since I started in this career as a female financial advisor, so young when I started too, and I didn't have a lick of confidence, and it didn't really help that the industry is dominated by men who, when I started, they were gross. They were chauvinistic. They 1,000,000% discriminated against me. There was sexual harassment. It didn't matter how smart I was, how good I did. It was always just that, like, double standard, right? So I didn't come out of the gate super confident either. And so that didn't help. And so I had to bust my ass and work 10 times harder than everybody else. And thank God I'm competitive, right? Because I had the vision of what I wanted, and that's like what pulled me through. If I didn't have that, I would have never made it. I would have fizzled out. And so it wasn't necessarily the confidence that I had that made me move forward. It was the vision, the thing I wanted, and who I knew I wanted to become that pulled me through. And sometimes it's just like that belief you have to borrow, right? But over the years, historically, like imposter syndrome cost me a lot. It cost me opportunities because I was afraid to show up to events. I'm super introverted to just go into a room despite it maybe having really amazing connections. What if I don't know anybody, right? What if nobody talks to me? I would literally talk myself out of it, even if I was in the parking lot of said event. That's not good. I missed out on not only opportunities, but I underpriced myself. I didn't speak up. I didn't advocate for myself. I mean, it goes on and on. It's like a tax that you pay if you aren't willing to either believe in yourself or just brave it out. And it's really that voice sometimes that creeps in and it has you questioning whether or not you're good enough. Do I belong? Gosh, what if somebody finds me out? They have no idea that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't belong, over and over. And so I'm sure you have definitely experienced some kind of trash talk to yourself like that in the past. I want to unpack this a little bit today and really just talk about some ways that we can convert this, use it as a superpower instead of having it be something that just holds you back, because you're better than that and you deserve better. You are worth the effort that it may take and the hard work and the bravery, if you will, to hone in and own this imposter syndrome as the little gifty gift that it can be. Okay. But it shows up and we can't avoid it or pretend like it doesn't, because if you pretend like it doesn't, you're probably not doing yourself any favors versus owning it, recognizing it, and then defeating it. And there was a study that was done too by KPMG, and it found that 75% of executive women have experienced imposter syndrome at some point in their careers, and 71% of US CEOs have reported it. So my guess is it's really 100%, but only 3/4 are speaking up. And so I'm saying this because you're not alone, and it doesn't matter how many credentials you have or how smart you are or how big your business is. It always shows up. And I want to start flipping the script. And so a huge thing that helped me was actually just recognizing that imposter syndrome meant it was a signal for growth. And it was a signal that I'm in the right room, and when someone helped reframe that for me, it literally changed the game. Because in other words, when I always had said to myself, well, I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I love being the dumbest person in the room. It feels terrible, but I love it because it means I'm going to learn. I'm going to grow. I'm going to step into something that I didn't know was possible before. And I know if I don't do those things, I'm going to stay stagnant. I'm going to stay stuck. I'm going to stay the same. And to me, that is like a personal hell. I never want to be the same. I am literally propelled and fueled by growth, by change, by chasing that next thing. It's also kind of my toxic trait, but I love being like this insatiable learner, and I'm so curious. And importantly, I always want to try to get better. I want to know not only how I can evolve and achieve more, but I know if I'm learning new things and getting uncomfortable and getting experience shares from rooms that scare the shit out of me, it means that I can take that information and I can use it to help grow my company, which means I'm probably going to be able to hire more people, pay them more, and help more clients. So when I look at it that way, it really helps me with that bravery piece, because it's not just me, but it's really for the bigger picture and the mission and the vision that I have for my financial planning company. So that may help you. I know even for a lot of moms out there, especially when I'm having conversations around financial planning or spending plans or doing hard things there, I say, well, look, what if you do it for your kids? And for some reason, that's just like the magic thing that clicks, right? With a lot of us women, it's easier to do things for everybody else. But when it comes to ourselves, it's like, that's hard. We're not going to do it, because why not screw ourselves over? So think of the greater purpose here if you are struggling with it, because this imposter syndrome, if you will, or those feelings really do mean that you're taking a new leap. You're maybe stepping into a bigger role. And that's really, really cool. And it's okay. And just embrace the feeling It's okay to feel the feels, but what's not okay is to let them take over and hold you back. So moving forward, feel the feels, accept it, but then say, this is normal. I'm going to continue to go full steam ahead. I am not going to let it cost me an opportunity. I am not going to let it cost me not advocating for myself or speaking up or increasing my fees or bidding on a project or a job or whatever the case may be that I know I can crush at, but some reason I thought someone was better. Look, there is no one better than you for the thing that you do. It is, again, remember, a signal that you are in the right room. Even Barbara Corcoran, who I love and adore, she was on Shark Tank, real estate mogul. What she did, if this helps you, is every time that she felt like she didn't belong, she just worked harder, and that made her feel better. I know for me personally, I did the same thing. I worked harder, but the one thing I think is important to note is that harder work doesn't always equate to bigger success. And so pay attention to that. You know, when you hear these like moguls, like, oh, you know, I worked harder and that made me feel better. It was a coping mechanism. But speaking from experience, I'm not a mogul, I'm not Barbara Corcoran, but make sure that the work that you're doing is smart work, it's productive work, and you're not doing busy work to avoid something. A lot of times when we are working, sometimes it is our coping mechanism and it may be avoiding or dealing with imposter syndrome, but make sure it's not avoiding or procrastinating or putting something off, and make sure it's work that is profitable and smart. Often, if it is something that can be automated, delegated, you're costing yourself money, precious time, and adding stress. So be aware of those signals. And when you read stuff from famous people, and make sure that you're unpacking it and how it applies to you and doesn't become in addition to that toxic perpetual cycle. But in any event, some other things that you may want to look out for as well. And these are just like imposter syndrome red flags. And one of it might be saying that you just got lucky. If someone celebrated your success or said, congratulations, you might be that person who said, oh, I'm just so lucky, instead of saying, thank you, I worked hard. You're not lucky. Like, you did a lot of things that got you there. Okay. And so sure, there may be a small element of luck, but not play yourself down as if you didn't bust your ass to get whatever thing that person is congratulating you on. And another thing is not going after clients or maybe bidding for jobs, or if you're maybe an executive, not applying for something because you don't feel 110% qualified, or maybe you are that, if you're in the service industry, coach, consultant, you keep holding yourself back from doing more because you keep getting more education and another certification. And sometimes that is another big expense that is really a sign or signal of imposter syndrome. Like, you probably don't actually need more continuing ed or another credential. Not all the time, but most of the time, like, that is masking something to make yourself feel better, to avoid doing the thing that may be scary to you. And that can be another underlying signal of imposter syndrome. This stuff sometimes is really subtle and we don't always recognize we're doing it, which is where that outside coach consultant is helpful too, to kind of be that objective view and call you out on your shit, but also help borrow some of their confidence. You know, I do that for clients all the time, and just having those hard conversations so that you're not avoiding the things that are maybe costing you money instead of getting ahead, even though the intent is the reverse. And it can also show up in behaviors financially too, where you are underpricing or over delivering and spending way too much time on something than what you quoted for. And then of course, hesitating to really charge what you're worth or understanding what that is, because you just feel like either you're not worth it or you're afraid they're going to say no. No is not a scary word, guys. It is okay. So keep those little things in mind. A few examples of those red flag subtleties where imposter syndrome could be screwing you over more than you think or more than what you are aware of. And so some things that can maybe help you deal with imposter syndrome is start a win file or a feel good folder, whatever you want to call it. I actually do this because sometimes when I'm either feeling this like imposter syndrome, or I'm just feeling like burning the fucking boats, like I'm done, like this sucks, you had a bad day, client like did something ridiculous that just made you feel completely defeated, an employee quit, I don't know, whatever the case may be, right? Then these thoughts kind of creep in. I keep a folder of all of the things. I have two. I have an electronic one and then a literal like physical journal. In the electronic one, it's just all the emails that I have saved where clients have said, thank you so much. You've changed my life. You've helped make things easier. Whatever positive thing they sent me, I keep it in a folder. It's like this little dose of dopamine and sunshine when you're feeling down and defeated. I look in that folder, I read it, and it just reminds me of my why, my purpose, and it reframes everything. And I also get a lot of notes, letters as well from people. And so whether they're business coaching clients, financial planning clients, I'll get these handwritten notes and cards and post-it notes sometimes from my team. I save all of those things in a journal. And so depending on where I am, the journal is like the book of cheer. I keep that at my office. Electronic is, of course, on my email, but I'll just like thumb through that sometimes and read those things because we need that reminder. We need to remind ourselves what we're made of, what we're capable of, the good stuff that we do when we're just feeling like we got the shit kicked out of us. So I would encourage you to start something very similar where you're saving things, where people celebrate you, thank you, cheer you on. And also maybe you are going to add to that, especially if it's a journal, like write down things you've accomplished, milestones, things that you have done that you're really, really proud of and grateful for, just to help you reframe when your mindset starts to play games on you. Okay. Another really powerful thing is to be very careful how you talk to yourself and reframe the narrative. And this takes quite a lot of practice. And it is something that I will, in conversation with clients, literally stop them mid-sentence and have them reframe the sentence, because how you talk to yourself is powerful. Words have so much power that we do not give them enough credit for. And so, for example, if you say, I don't know enough, instead say, I'm in the process of learning. What do I need to know to figure it out, right? It's just a little tweak, a little thing, but you gotta start thinking that way and catching yourself if you can and practicing this so that you don't essentially cut yourself out of the opportunity before you even give yourself the opportunity, okay? So shift from I'm not ready to I'm rising to meet this, And then the next is find your people. We know you are the combination of the 5 people you hang out with most, or you are going to start to like pick up traits from your group, your circle. So make sure that you're in a mastermind. Look at who your friends are. Are they people who inspire you? Do they give you tough love? Do they call you out on your shit? Do they like love you enough to tell you the hard things? Do they support you when times are tough? Do you have those people in your corner cheering you on? Really, really important. And it doesn't have to be friends or family. It can literally be that mastermind group, or maybe it is also a team you build around you, right? That board of advisors, like your business coach, financial advisor, a mentor that you find. Whatever it is, really make sure that you have a strong support system. This is mission critical. And if you need help with that, like, my God, please reach out. It doesn't mean that you have to hire me for your business coach or financial advisor, but what it does mean is I will help connect you. I am a huge connector. I really believe in that. We even have a whole money bitch community that I founded back in 2020 with COVID, with over 1,200 women in there. So important to me that people have people, right? Our connections are huge and a fundamental part of our success and belonging and being able to achieve. So definitely start to make sure that who you are surrounding yourself is a positive force in firing the people who suck the life out of you. And then start practicing visibility, even when it's scary, like start cheering yourself out, celebrating on social media what you've accomplished, awards that you've gotten. Say yes to something before you give yourself the opportunity to talk yourself out of it. Like start just doing those things. It will pay off in dividends. And of course, last but least, watch the self-talk. I just talked about this, but don't be an asshole to yourself. Be kinder to yourself. Pay attention to your words and give yourself some grace. Imposter syndrome is real. It's a big deal, but it doesn't mean it has to hold you back. It can literally be the thing that you look for, that makes you feel good, that helps fuel that fire inside of you to continue to crush it. So until next time, my powerhouses, continue to be courageous.